Xbox, it's kind of like she goes to La La Land. She doesn't seem to be paying attention to anything going on around her.
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that. Like, like fighting.
Shit, I don't even know. I couldn't even like tell you like shit, fucking. What's up, Cartesian?
Yeah, wait. So I wanted to know, you said, so you're saying that like you have a trust fund and everything. Like, so are you saying you have like rich ass parents? Like, what's the deal here?
I don't really want to talk about that.
Oh, okay. So you want to deconstruct atheism?
Well, yeah, I do the transcendental argument for God. So
Yeah, but P. Mars, the transcendental argument has been completely debunked, man. I'm sorry.
it hasn't though.
Of
How?
course it has. Look,
No.
it's a laughing stock. Come on, P. Mars, come on.
A laughing stock. What do you mean? Like
Yeah, like the argument's just been completely debunked. Nobody takes it seriously.
that's not true because to debunk tag, like how are you going to make metaphysical claims when all you have is like science and philosophy? There's
Look, if tag, like, I'm just taking tag to be necessarily, if we have knowledge then God exists, we have knowledge so God exists, right? Now, if the definition of knowledge analytically requires God,
it doesn't
then I'm
matter the
going to deny
definition.
P2. If the definition of knowledge doesn't analytically require God, then P1's going to be false. Right? So there's this dilemma that you can't escape, really.
It's not about definitions. It's about metaphysical content. We can't make metaphysical. We couldn't make any metaphysical claim if all we have is science and philosophy, right? Science and philosophy doesn't tell us anything about metaphysics. We can only know metaphysics if God reveals that type of knowledge to us.
Completely wrong.
How am I wrong?
It's not like logically contradictory to have knowledge, metaphysical knowledge, albeit without God existing or revealing anything to you.
We wouldn't have any metaphysical knowledge without God.
Oh my gosh, P. Mars, you're hilarious, buddy.
Why am I hilarious?
Wait, aren't you like 45, by the way?
Yeah.
You're 40. How long have you been doing this?
Doing what? Like
Debating on TikTok.
debating on TikTok? Like,
Yeah.
I haven't been debating on TikTok very long. I
Wait,
debated
do you
on.
have a college degree?
No, I dropped out of college.
Oh, okay, what were you studying?
Computer science.
Okay. Did you take like a logic class before?
No, I'm not really interested in philosophy that much. I just learn it because I know like debate is just sort of like in the field of philosophy. Well, not sort of, it is in the field of philosophy. So I have to understand philosophy to debate to a certain extent.
Were you always a Christian?
No, I became a Christian at 37.
Why'd you become a Christian?
I became a Christian because I value freedom, and without like Christianity, freedom wouldn't have any value. There wouldn't matter.
That's why you became Christian?
Yes.
Come on, there's no way. You're a troll. You're a complete troll.
Well, I'm not a troll, but like because we live in a world of like deceit, telling the truth is almost like a troll act because people feel
Oh, okay.
deceived.
Do you
Yeah.
think do you think part of the reason we live in a world of deceit is like the Democratic Party?
No, I think it's a scientific dictatorship. It doesn't have anything to do with politics.
Oh, and who's an example of somebody in the scientific dictatorship?
Who's in the scientific dictatorship?
Yeah.
I don't know if like a good example of someone alive. Like it's a big new
You don't have
Brzezinski.
a single example of somebody in this?
Like Fauci.
Okay, Dr. Fauci, okay.
Yeah.
Are there any like celebrities in it, like like Kim Kardashian or something? Is she involved?
It's just the idea that experts control, like decisions are made by experts, not by politicians. So we elect politicians, but then the politicians just do whatever the experts tell them. It's like
Okay,
it's a
would
scientific.
you prefer that like the politicians don't listen to any experts?
Yeah, I prefer a society where we don't make decisions based off this special class, this priest class of experts that
Okay, so like say we're not listening to experts. Like I mean, like sort of walk me through this. Suppose like we want to make a decision about like, some like important economic decision, and maybe like one of the options will be like super disastrous. Like should we like not consult like a qualified economist, or like what should we do in that case? Just like go for gut? What do you think?
Well, the situation we're in now, we're like uh, hopelessly enslaved by science and like technology. So we
Yeah, so what should we do in that scenario? Should we just like go for gut feeling, or should we like ask an economist?
I'm not really like proposing solutions. I'm just like highlighting the situation.
Yeah, but surely you're saying we shouldn't listen to experts. So then what's the alternative? Like you surely have some other idea, right?
No.
Okay, so all you know is that like if we're making this like extremely important economic decision, let's say like it could result in like it's like a decision that could like harm people in some way if we make the wrong choice here. And you're saying like what we shouldn't listen to the expert, but you have no idea what we should do.
Yeah, I'm just like
Wow. Mm,
highlighting the problem, like that we live in a scientific dictatorship. I think that's a
wow.
problem. So I don't know. I don't know the solution because we're dependent upon experts. So we couldn't just like you're saying, we can't just cut ourselves off because the economy would collapse, agriculture wouldn't work. So like a lot of people would suffer. But I don't know. The future we're heading to is bad too, like total enslavement.
So we should listen to people who aren't experts, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that like we should be able to like um, question the experts and not necessarily do. They might not necessarily have the best because we're basically making decisions based off like efficiency as the criteria rather than
Do you
um,
think somebody who's an expert
human
is more
human.
likely to have the right idea than some random person?
No, the problem is the criteria they're using to judge what's good and bad is they're basing things off a technological morality, which says that like efficiency is like the good, but
Who's doing that?
if efficiency at the cost of like what like the human experience, like they don't understand what's good for people, and
Who's they?
so that's the
Like
problem.
who's they?
The people that control the experts.
Who controls the experts?
I'm just saying like the scientists, the experts.
Okay, so the experts control the experts. Like there's
Who
some other group
controls?
of
I didn't say
experts that
anything about
control the other group.
controlling the experts. I'm saying that the experts make the decisions for our society, but they're
Okay.
kind of
Do you
like cut
think the
off.
experts are like a ruling class of people that control everything?
Yeah, it's like a priest class. Yeah,
Are
it's
they
like a
like
scientific priest class.
are they banded together? Like are they like collaborating, or is it like
Um, I mean, I'm sure like there's secret societies and the occult like is
okay,
involved.
so let me get this straight. You think there is a cult of experts that is secretly running the United States?
I wouldn't say it's so like it's not really like secret. It's just that
But people don't know about the cult, right?
it's just like people are really dumb. They don't read.
Yeah, but like aren't you saying they have a secret society? Like surely you're
Yeah,
saying there's some
there are
secret society.
secret societies that are controlling things. Yeah,
Okay. So there's a secret society of experts
but
controlling the US. That's
it's not all secret. Like some of it is blatantly out in the open, like the Council on Foreign Relations,
but you think that all of the experts are in their
World
kind of secret
Economic
society,
Forum.
right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they're all like P3DO cults. Like,
So all of the experts are also like P3DOs too.
what?
So like all of the experts are also P3DOs on your feed.
Not necessarily,
Okay,
but
just
the
like
world is
what
controlled.
percentage of them are P3s, if you had to say?
Huh? I don't know, man.
You don't know? Like, is it
All,
like
all I know is
5%, 10%?
all I know is that politics is based on schmexual blackmail, and we know that because of like Epstein and P Diddy. So that's like getting.
Oh, okay. Um, so, okay, do you think a large amount, a large percentage, like, are more than half of the experts controlling everything, are more than half of them P3os?
I have no idea. It seems like to get in the club, they have to have dirt on you so they can blackmail you, and that's how you get promoted.
Okay, so they have a club and they have like a kind of hierarchy or something. Is that your view? Like you think they're in a club and there's like a club hierarchy?
Yeah.
Okay, and then is there like a leader of everything?
No, I think it's like Aldous Huxley. He described it as a controlling oligarchy.
Okay, sure. Okay, and you think like, and okay, so why do you think? So you only think like some of them are P30os and like because like you mentioned like them being P30os or let's say PDFs, PDF files, right? Like which ones are PDF files and which ones aren't? Like is a significant amount of them PDF files? Like I don't really get it.
I mean, it seems like that. I mean, what do are we really? I mean, what can I say? We like we know from what like stuff like Epstein and P Diddy, so we don't know. I mean, I can't give like specifics. It's just like we know some general things that.
Yeah, but neither Epstein nor Diddy are experts, right? So
No, I
like
don't.
why would it even matter? They aren't even experts in it.
Because what do you mean? Why would it matter? That have you
I
not
thought you
paid?
were saying the experts are PDF files, but like Pete Diddy and Epstein aren't experts. They're just like random people.
They're not
They're
just like
random celebrities. Right? They're not like experts in any field. Right?
the elites and politicians would go to like
Oh, it's
Epstein
not so it's
Island.
not just experts, it's also like elite people.
Uh, well, depends on what you're talking about. Like you're like
I thought your
focusing here.
position I thought your position was like there's a group of experts that is like secretly running the US and they have a
Well,
cult and a
that's
secret
just what it
society. But
that's
now
just
it
what a
seems like you're
science.
talking about like celebrities like Diddy who aren't even experts. Like what's
This
going on
isn't
here?
just like my position. This is I got this from like Bertrand Russell,
Oh,
Aldous
you got this from
Huxley.
Bertrand Russell, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, got this. Where did, by the way, where did Bertrand Russell say any of this? Like, I'm kind of curious.
Okay. I don't want to give you a second.
Oh, you didn't even know. Okay.
Well, no, I just have to. I don't know off the top of my head. So he says in the book, The Impact of Science on Society, on page 49, he says, scientific societies are as yet in their infancy. It is to be expected that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have, even in totalitarian countries. Fichte laid it down that education should aim at destroying free will so that after pupils have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. So that's Bertrand Russell. He also has
Oh, okay.
the scientific
That's
outlook.
like the basis for your whole outlook here. That's like the fundamental of like everything you believe here.
Well, he's one of the first people to talk about the scientific. He also wrote about it in a book called The Scientific Outlook.
Yeah, by the way, I
It's,
think Q-Top wants you to let him up.
who?
I think Q-Top wants you to let him up.
I don't really care.
Okay.
But he also wrote about it in the book The Scientific Outlook, and then Huxley wrote about it. Like Brave New World is
Would you
about
say that like the Jews, because a lot of people say
no,
that like
no,
in
no,
addition to experts, the Jews are also controlling stuff.
no,
Would you say
no,
that on your view?
no, no.
Okay. Okay. I was
That's
just wondering. Some people also like to say that too.
no, that's goofy. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
those people make like serious people look stupid. It's
Oh,
like
okay. So you're like a serious. So you're like a serious person, at least in this
um,
regard.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just read because the elites they write books about how they're like enslaving us. Like I'm reading what Bertrand Russell is saying. But there's like
So
Carol
did
Carol
Bertrand
Quigley.
Russell also inform you that like these experts are like, PDF files and stuff like that? Did you get that from Russell, or was that like your
Well,
own
no,
kind
I
of view?
told you Epstein and P Diddy. There's
Okay.
it's been
Who
rumored.
aren't experts, by the way? Epstein and P Diddy are not experts. Like, do you have a single example of an expert who's a PDF file?
I don't do research into that stuff. I
So
just
you don't
I
have a
just
you
I'm
don't
just
have a
talking
single
about like
example.
what's been. Well, I just use P Diddy and Epstein as examples because that's in the news. They got busted, so there's evidence, right? They got prosecuted, or they
Wait,
were
but
one
hold
is
up,
being
but
prosecuted,
but wait a second.
one alive in
But
jail.
P Diddy and Epstein are not experts in anything. I thought your claim was that the experts are the PDF files. Like,
No,
but it seems like you're saying you don't have a single
you're just
example
being
of this.
pedantic.
But do you have a single example of an expert who's a PDF file?
But you just who cares if this what is that? How's that relevant? Just being,
Not even one.
well, I
Huh?
don't need
Okay.
one.
Whatever. I was just asking. I was curious. Huh? Weird. Um. Huh? I don't know. Like, strange. A bit
Yeah,
strange.
so atheism is true because
Well, I mean, like, are we talking about global atheism or local atheism?
there really isn't a difference. That's like not really a thing. It's like kind of a
Because,
double.
like, I think atheism, with regards to the Christian God, is true.
All right, thanks for coming, man. Jeez, oh, what a maroon. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Are you 18 or over?
I am. I'm 18, August 16th, 2006.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So I want to kind of get your understanding of deconstructing atheism. What do you mean by deconstructing? Do you mean explaining? Do you mean shutting it down entirely?
Well, like when we deconstruct Christianity, we kind of like re-examine it and critically think about it, like the claims. And so I just like
Okay.
doing something similar with atheism. I'm like saying, let's examine atheism and think about atheism, and we find out it's just like vacuous. That it's like a ridiculous fantasy position.
So which God are we talking about here? Like, are we talking about
I'm
Yahweh? Are we talking about the Buddha? Are we talking about?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so we're talking about the general Christian God, also known as Yahweh. Multiple names for him. So, in the sense of atheism, right? So, would you just consider that the belief in no gods or the belief in not your God?
I don't really care how people want to define it, but
I'm just.
generally,
Mhm.
atheism is thought of in like the philosophy of religion. Atheism is a proposition that no god or gods exists, and then an atheist is someone that like believes the proposition. And then theism is a proposition that God exists or
Yeah.
gods.
So, in this case, in this scenario, what's to say that there is proof of either or? That there is a God or
Um,
there isn't?
right. So I can make a transcendental argument that I think
Of course.
objectively proves that Christianity is true. It's like a philosophical proof.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just something I've never understood about Christianity is there's this whole paradox thing, this whole I don't know if you've ever heard of it, and I can't remember the actual name of it. I'd have to pull it up on my laptop, but it's a series of questions that talking about if God's evil, blah 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 blah, if God's good, is all knowing, and I
The
can pull that
problem with
paradox up for
evil.
you. It's just it's an interesting sort of paradox of if God was all knowing and He knew what would happen, He didn't stop it because of what free will, but before then free will wasn't
Well,
a thing. So it's just interesting to me.
yeah, that's the problem of evil, but it's not really. There's more of a problem of evil for the non-believer because, like, what would you even say evil is if you're not a Christian. You wouldn't have any like basis to talk about evil. But so like, but it's not true because so God creates the world. The world's perfect. There's no death. There's no suffering. Adam and Eve, they never grow tired. They never get hungry. They live forever. Anything they dream of is instantly real the second they dream of it. And Adam's sitting there. He's like, "Isn't this great? We have everything we could think of." And then Eve says, "Yeah, but it's not. It's just not good enough, is it?" And so they ate from the fruit, which led to the fall of man, death and suffering entered the world because we basically we rebelled against God. We gave God middle fingers and we said we don't need God, we don't need you, we're independent, And so God decided this plan of redemption where he's going to allow temporarily like bad things to happen, suffering, so we learn not to love the world and we turn towards God. And then that way he can maximize the number of people who freely choose him and are saved in paradise in the future.
So I did find the paradox. It's called the Epicurean paradox. This was created 341 EC. His name was Epicurio. So he introduced a paradox to the Christian belief, and I just want to know your answers to it because I'm curious. Everybody has a different answer to everything, and each paradox eventually leads to an answer.
Is this the one where is it good because God says it's good, or is it good because
no, this is a different one. This is so evil exists. We can agree on this, yes. That there is
the problem of evil then.
And the next question is, can God prevent evil?
Can God prevent evil?
Could he prevent evil?
Can God prevent evil? I think so, yeah.
Okay, so does God know about all evil?
Yes.
Does he want to prevent evil?
Does he want to prevent evil?
Yes.
I guess not.
Then God is not all loving. Or not all good.
Based on what standard?
On what standard of knowing that he had created humankind and, these are his children. In the Bible it says, come forth ye children. That he views that, his humans are like his children.
Yes.
So, in that sense, a parent would want to protect their child from evils.
Sure.
They would want to make sure that their child is safe, but if they don't want to prevent it, then they're not loving towards a child.
But if a parent doesn't discipline their child,
if they're just like, screw it, I'm gonna have my kid, go through evils, then at that point, is that parent loving?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, because I think a parent...
And the next one is,
can you hear me?
If you answered
Hello?
Yes, would be,
hello?
Then why is there evil?
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, everything cut out for me for a second. What I was saying was...
Yeah, I heard.
Did you hear that point? Okay,
yeah,
thank God.
I heard what you said. But I was saying that, like, so if a parent doesn't discipline their child, sometimes the best thing for a child is to allow for unpleasant things to happen to the child, temporarily suffering. Because imagine, like, you raise a child and you never discipline your child, and you just make sure, like, all their needs and wants are met, like, the second they demand something, Well, you're going to raise a rotten, spoiled brat who won't be able to function in the real world. And that's bad for the child, right? So all this happening is God is temporarily allowing bad things and suffering to happen. It's like a form of discipline as we're his children. And it's going to teach us a lesson that we need. And it's overall good for why God does that.
In this case, we'll say evils are the 10 Commandments, right? These are the greatest sins in the Christianity. Instead of just, okay, give a child whatever they want. These are rules set out for children. You would want to protect them from what you consider bad. The question here is, does he want to prevent it? Does say, thou shalt not steal or kill. He would want to protect his child from that. Any parent would.
Yeah, and he does. He does protect us. Like,
So then why would there be evil?
because, like I said, so there's
It's
consequences to
necessary.
our actions. It's because we rebelled against God, and so we're in the stage of a plan of redemption, where
So,
God temporarily allows the good, the bad, and the ugly to occur, so we learn not to love the world, and we
okay.
turn and we love God instead. So He allows the world to be a crappy place.
So, would you say it's necessary? That evil is unnecessary for the universe to exist?
I don't know if I'd say that, but like He's also constantly preventing, like, there would be way much more evil without the grace of God in the world. So He is, like, there's tons of evil that God's preventing that you're not aware of.
Mm-hmm. And so, could have God created a universe without evil? In a
He
so-called...
did.
He did. Okay.
Yes. He created
So,
the Garden of Eden. There was no evil, and we rebelled. And as a result of our rebellion, nothing God did is because of what we did. Death and suffering entered the world temporarily, but God has a plan to fix everything. So in the future, it's not going to be like that.
so, and I'm assuming this plan you're speaking of is what is it called? I remember it's in the book. It's,
It's
what
the
is it?
plan of redemption, God's plan of redemption.
Retribution Day, right? That thing?
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. Retribution, judgment. Sorry, I get those two words mixed up sometimes. So, in Judgment Day, right? If... This is another thing I have. So, in the Bible, we have the Ten Commandments, which is the general rules, correct? I hear a lot of Christians making the
No,
argument that...
I take a different stance on that.
Okay.
I don't think there's any like commandments. I follow what it says in Romans 13 that we don't have to follow any commandments. As a Christian, I'm just called upon to love God and love others, and that's it. Thanks for the gift.
All right.
Miranda.
So, and another, just one last question, and then I'm gonna let whoever else needs to come up, come up. Because I really am just curious about this. I like getting people's opinions on this. So, would you say that I hear a lot of this argument that the Old Testament, you no longer follow it because, Jesus died, or, he died on the cross for everybody's sins, and so the
It
Old
says
Testament
in
isn't followed.
Hebrews 8:13.
So, would that also include the book of Leviticus, which is another thing people tend to bring up a lot?
Hebrews 8:13 says, "By calling this covenant new, He has made the first one obsolete. What is obsolete and outdated will soon disappear." Hebrews 8:13. So the old covenant is obsolete and it is outdated and it disappears. And we are under a new covenant under Christ where we're free of the law. But Christianity isn't about following the law. It's about God's grace, and the holy power of the Holy Spirit changes you on the inside. And because of a change on the inside, He changes your heart. What you desire and want will align with what God wants. And He wants you to love Him, and He wants you to love others. And as a result of you loving others, you will do no harm to anyone. And you will always do the right thing. You don't have to worry about the law. As long as you love other people, you're doing God's will. And you're giving glory to God by revealing the love He put in your heart.
And that also just kind of, and I want to kind of, again, this is the last ever question, and I'm gone. I do have work I need to finish. So in that case, if the whole thing is like to love everybody else and to just be a loving presence, why do you think there's so much hatred in specifically the churches and or with the community? You see it, with people all the time, standing outside with signs saying, "Hey, you're gonna go to hell because of who you love," or anything like that. Why do you think that there's that sort of hate when in reality you should just love people for who they are? That's what the Bible says. Love
The
thy neighbor like you would love yourself.
well, the answer to that question is in the Bible, where the Jewish people, the Pharisees, were very strict on the law, and um, so there's types of evil that are obvious, like when a father or something loses all of his money to a gambling problem, and like he
Mm-hmm.
can't provide food for his children. That's like we can clearly see it was evil for him to gamble away like the money he needed for groceries. That's clearly evil. But some evil isn't so obvious. Like the Pharisees, they followed the law very strict. Um, so from an outside appearance, think of like a priest or something. From an outside appearance, they thought they're a godly man, but then behind closed doors, they might be doing stuff. They might, well, what they do, what they, not even that. No, that was a bad example. So the idea is like the Pharisees became, do you know what it means to be like sanctimonious and self righteous?
Yeah.
So,
I used
yeah.
to be Southern Baptist.
So this happens with Christians too. It's the same thing that what happened to the Pharisees is they think they're better than other people because I'm more holy, I'm more godlike. God likes me more than you. God hates you, whatever. And they get that develops an attitude of like superiority and arrogance, and that's what the Pharisees had, where they thought they were better than other people. And Jesus like highlights this is why he attacks the Pharisees because it's one of those evils that's not so obvious, but unfortunately naturally people are corrupt, and so even Christianity isn't like immune to this, even though the Bible warns against this. There's lots of Christians that act more like a Pharisee than Jesus. And
They
so
act more as though a ruthless ruler than loving and caring like you should. That makes sense.
it just, yeah, they just get this attitude of superiority because like, oh, I waited till marriage before I had sex, and this person had sex outside of marriage, so I'm a better person than them. And then they like sort of other you, I guess is the term, or they treat you like a second class citizen, and that's not right. Like we're supposed to, um, maybe I'd rebuke you, maybe I'd say, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I'm gonna like treat you with like love and respect and dignity.
And that's good. That's good. Anyway, I'm gonna get off and let whoever else needs to talk talk.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Of course.
Man, I'm not trying to be preachy. People are always asking me about stuff though. I'm just trying to prove it. I'm not even certified to be talking about these things. I just like study theology for fun. I ain't no Bible. I ain't no preacher, Bible scholar, or anything like that. But I'm interested in the Bible, and so I read about it. That's it. So I could be wrong. I'm just saying, take what I say about like theological matters with it, like many grains of salt. You're a film major? Oh God. The vain philosophy of man. All right, I'll let you up. I'm scared to debate. Well, I'm not really scared of like secular philosophy because I know that ultimately it ends in ruin. So, well, that guy didn't connect. Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. So just for reference, I go to Duke University and I major in philosophy and I minor in neurochemistry.
Okay.
You said a few points I want to bring up and kind of just talk about them for a second because I completely disagree with them. Can you go back to the why you rebuke the academics and be honest here, like what reason do you have to not trust them? because if anything, there's been more preachers who have been convicted of like assault, a lot more Christians in these statistics for like, sexual crime. They overwhelmingly make up the amount of, statistics, people who commit sexual violence in this country come from Christians. So can I ask you, what on earth do you blame the academics for?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So two guests ago, and I'm gonna be respectful here. Let me know if I'm not being respectful enough.
I was talking about
Two
the
guests.
scientific dictatorship and experts running society.
So you called like the scientific leaders, I think P3DOs and a bunch of just, bunch of just completely
Yeah,
illiterate stuff.
I was saying our society is controlled by um a, like a priest class or like a top 1% of people. Then
Oh, okay, I agree with that.
they're
It's
in like
unfortunate, but it's true.
P3DO cults, like because it's just been exposed by Epstein and P Diddy, where they're like they have politicians going to these parties and all this. So it seems like a lot of our politics is really just like schmexual blackmail, but it's not. It's like all under the rug, but it's obvious at the same time. I'm just saying, like people aren't like talking about this for some reason. So it's like when your politician does something, you're like, whoa, well that was really dumb. Why'd they do that? It's because of sexual blackmail. That's all I was talking about.
You do know Epstein was Christian, right?
What's that?
You do know Epstein was Christian?
Who?
Epstein?
Oh, I don't know that. I
Yeah.
mean,
I think historically the Christian community has had issues with academics. People like Galileo, Newton, well, off the top of my head.
no. Christianity actually started academia. Like all the universities started.
Oh, like, so who's the first person who began, who's the father of academia?
I don't know, but I know that the Catholic Church basically started all the universities and stuff.
So the father of education is Plato, Socrates, who were not uh in Christian faith as you see it. But I'm gonna continue saying what I was gonna finish, if that's okay with you. The Christian community is the most hypocritical community to be talking about a bad influence on society. Y'all have mega churches and corporatization. Um, so to kind of give you an idea, the churches in America alone, just the churches without contributing to, the amount of shirts, holy water, crosses that they sell for profit. So Christian churches make about $1.4 trillion
They
dollars
profit.
every year.
They
Let me,
they
can I
feed like the
finish?
hungry.
Can
Well,
I finish? Can I
they're
please
not doing
finish?
things. They're not doing things for profit. They're like they feed the hungry and they donate to like charities. So that's just like that's not realistic. What about the Red Cross? That's like a Christian humanitarian organization that uses Christian values like service to others to help people all around the world. What about that?
Hello? Hello? Sorry, my brother came in. Can you please repeat what you said?
I was just talking about that. Like, that's ridiculous to say that they're doing these things for profit because Christians are always like giving back. They build hospitals to heal the sick. They feed the poor, the hungry. There's
Oh, okay. Okay, so
organizations.
you think it's not for profit then? And how much of a percentage do you think
Well, I mean,
the
it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, there's
well,
sure
well, I'm gonna ask you a
there's
quick question
there's
here. So
there's your Joel.
since you
There,
believe
there
that the
are
Christian
shady there are shady characters like your Joel Olstein types, right? So yes, so
well,
what?
I'm
There's
not
some
talking
way.
about I mean I think he is the epiphany of it. I agree with you, but what percentage of the Christian contribution goes to charity, do you think? So they make $1.4 trillion a year, or 1.8, sorry. How much do you think goes to charity?
I don't trust any of those statistics, so I don't really
Well,
care.
it's from the Christian churches themselves. I have four sources for you, coming from
Yeah,
Christian
but
communities.
you're using statistics to misrepresent
So
the truth.
Christian Post,
There.
carrynewwolf.com, balancegod.org, and the FBI all suggest that about 70% are allocated to staff and salaries and go to the church, and about 10% go to charities and other extracurricular activities for the church,
No, no, change your wallpaper, please.
including schools and so forth. So the Christian community is incredibly, I mean, you kind of just like talking about hypocrisy in society is, I think it would be fair if you included the hypocrisy in the Christian church, not to mention the religious consumerism, which is a third of the US economy. They have no tax, no church in this country has tax. Even though they make about $300 to $400 million annually, they do not have a tax. In places like most states, churches would not welcome homeless people into their, facilities. They would call the police. In California, a few months ago, I was reviewing a case on a man, an old man, who was incredibly religious and he was a veteran in California, and he went to a Christian church and
What
he
kind of
slept
proof
on the
do you need?
pews and was arrested by the church because of that. So talk about, hypocritical, right? Hypocrisy at its finest. And then y'all want to go around and say that we're hypocritical. Let me tell you something. The Christian church has historically demonized all people, and now currently
This is
they
so
are the ones being
insane.
demonized, and they're the ones who are being made fun of. They have no defense, which is why there is a rise in depression, anxiety, and ADHD due to hopelessness, according to the
This
Williams
is what
Institute.
academia
And
and
so,
science is.
so they can resent those who prove them wrong currently, like you do. But you have to understand, we will continue to prove you wrong right now, and even in the future, for forever. Even when you
Who's
die,
we?
we'll still
Who's
be proving
we?
your religion wrong.
Who is
The
we?
experts, academia. I have a degree in neurochemistry. Religion is harmful to your brain. It
No, no,
shuts
no. You
down your
said
entire
we will
limbic
prove
system.
you wrong. Who is
People
we?
who are smart, the
Can you hear
population, the
me?
people.
Is my mic working?
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, she's just very rude.
Okay, so
I'm not
you said
rude.
we
You're the
will
one who
prove you
called
wrong.
academics
Who?
P3
Look,
DOs,
dude, do
and
you
so I
just
think that's
shut up for a
incredibly
second?
stupid. Sure, buddy.
Wow. I asked you multiple times and you said we will prove you wrong. Who is we?
Academia, psychology, forensics, the FBI, your church
You're
themselves.
going to prove us wrong about what?
Well, academia is like constantly proven Christianity wrong throughout the centuries, right?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hmm.
What's proven wrong about Christianity?
So, have you ever heard of the Galileo affair in the 17th century?
Yeah,
So, when he came out,
I'm quite
I'm telling
familiar
you, I'm
with
going
it.
to tell you, but you can't interrupt me.
Let's have a
So,
look.
I am.
Look. Let's have
You
a
asked me a question.
conversation here.
You asked
Look,
me a
look,
conversation,
dude.
and I'm going to
Do you
answer the
want me? Hey, listen.
conversation.
I'm a
But you
mod in
asked me a
here.
question. I
Look,
understand that.
dude. If you don't stop, I'm gonna kick you. You are rude and obnoxious. You're like a bull in a china shop. Do you know how
You
to have
asked
a
me a
conversation with
question.
somebody?
Sure, but you asked me a question, sir, so
Look,
I'm
look.
answering your
Are
question.
you not self-aware?
Absolutely, I am
Maybe
self-aware.
you're not self-aware. Do you know how
No,
to have
I
a
am self-aware.
conversation?
I
Look,
do.
interrupt me again, and I'm gonna kick your big fat mouth out of here. You are rude and obnoxious. I try to exercise extreme patience with people, but once my patience runs out, then I start rebuking people like you. Now, I'm very familiar with the Galileo situation. Galileo was persecuted not so much on religious grounds, but because it was a political thing. Okay, it's because the Ptolemaic view of the universe was the status quo. It wasn't so much a religious dogma, but a cosmological position. Okay, it's called the Aristotelian view of the universe. Okay,
So can I ask him what exactly he proved?
say you got to speak. You got to speak louder into
So
your
what
microphone.
exactly did he prove that caused a ruckus in
Well, actually,
society?
Galileo didn't prove it himself. He simply confirmed what Copernicus had arrived at.
And which was what?
That the heliocentric view of the solar system, as opposed to the previous Aristotelian or Ptolemaic view of the geocentric.
Okay.
It was
So
not. Are you under the impression
no,
that
no, I mean I want to
the
talk, but you keep
persecution? Hey,
interrupting
hey,
me.
listen. Can you just shut your listen? Can you just shut your yap for a minute
You're so
without being rude
disrespectful
and
for a
interrupting?
Christian.
Look, overtalk me again, and I'm going to kick you out of here.
Okay, dude.
You're free to disagree with me and talk at length, but you're not free to be rude. You think you're a whole hell of a lot smarter than you are. The persecution of Galileo was predominantly political, not religious. Are you aware of that?
No, not aware of that. I just
Okay.
learned this
So,
in my
okay,
class.
so the previous view, which was the Aristotelian view or the Ptolemaic view, is that the earth was the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This was a view that was held before Christianity. Okay, are you aware of that? Now, do you know what
I'll
a
just let
parad?
you speak,
Do
and
you
then
know
if
what a
I can
do you
after
know
you
what a
speak,
paradigm is?
I do, but I'll let you speak, and if I can speak
Okay, so
after you,
was
like, so we have
was
a
was the
conductive
Ptolemaic
conversation.
Aristotle? You know what? I'm just about had it with you. You see, you think you know about the Galileo affair. You don't. Now, the reason why he was persecuted, it wasn't because of a predominant religious conviction. He was persecuted politically, and because the cosmological, it was a cosmological view, not predominantly a religious view. It was a paradigm that the earth was the center of the universe. Okay, nowhere in the Bible does it say that the earth is the center of the universe. Okay, so what happens is in science, if somebody comes in as a lone person or in a severe minority, and they challenge a pervasive view of the status quo or something that is held in wide consensus, they typically get persecuted one way or another. Are you aware of that in the history of science?
Yes, this happens all the time in science.
I'm asking her. Are you aware that in the history of science, people who come in and overtly challenge the status quo or a
I am
pervasive.
aware of that, yes.
Okay, good. So that's why Galileo was persecuted.
Okay, I'll
It
let you
wasn't for
finish.
religious reasons.
Can I speak now or no?
Yeah, so do you realize how you've been corrected that Galileo wasn't persecuted for religious reasons?
I understand your point. I respect your
No, I
point, but
said, no,
if
no. Do you understand that that's true, that he was persecuted for political reasons and that he challenged the status of the cosmological paradigm?
I agree that he was persecuted because of partly political reasons, but it was Cardinal, if I can remember
It's
correctly.
besides the point, because at that time the church held a lot of political power.
I
He
understand.
would have
You're
been
right.
persecuted even if they didn't.
I
Okay?
understand, sir, but is it okay if I
Okay.
speak? Is it
Yeah, yeah,
okay if?
go ahead. So
Okay.
I just now
All
that
right.
I've corrected you on your mistaken understanding of the
Okay.
Galilean history.
Okay. So, just for reference, I understand your point. Again, I'm a law student, so I know how to communicate with people, and I respect
No,
your
you
point.
don't. No, you don't. You're a
Well, if I
liar. You're rude
okay,
and
well, if I
you're
can
obnoxious.
finish, I can quickly
If
finish.
you know how to communicate people, can you explain to me why you repeatedly interrupted me earlier?
And I'm so sorry about that. I'm so
Oh, but
sorry about that.
You know how to communicate. Oh, you're a law student.
No, no, no. I'm sorry, but that doesn't have anything to. You're right. That's a little hypocritical of me. I'm not going to interrupt you again.
All right, let's
But
get back to the
so
point.
Cardinal
By
Robert,
the way, are you an atheist?
absolutely, I am
Oh, okay, good, good,
150%.
good, good. I want to talk with a smart person who's an atheist.
So Cardinal Robert Bellarmine was the leading cardinal in 1616. He promoted heliocentrism, right? So there's a quote in the Bible, and it's Psalm 104-5. The Lord set the earth on its foundations; it can never be moved. So when Galileo came
You
into,
just made a mistake. Okay.
can I finish though? You're interrupting
No,
me, and,
no,
and
you
I
may
would
not,
appreciate
because
if
I'm
I
going to
can finish.
correct you on a mistake.
Well, I
I want to
understand, but you can correct me when
listen.
I'm finished
You're
speaking
gonna take
because
a
you're
fucking
just
breath.
completely, you're
You're
angry.
gonna.
You're
I'm gonna mute
angry.
your
You're
microphone. Yeah,
angry.
because you don't know how to have a conversation. Because I'm correcting you on a mistake.
Well, how about you
Okay.
correct me when I'm done
No,
speaking?
did you say that the cardinal was promoting the heliocentric view? You
No,
just
not
said
the
that.
cardinal, not the cardinal.
Oh,
Galileo was. The cardinal was mad at him for
well,
doing so.
I heard you say that it was
No,
the cardinal.
she did. I think
Well,
she misspoke.
I
You
think I
said the
misspoke if I
cardinal
said that,
was
but I meant
promoting the heliocentric view. I heard you.
no, 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 not the cardinal, Galileo. Galileo was doing that.
Okay, then I'm correcting you. You misspoke.
Correct. Sure. Okay. So in Psalm 104-5, it says, "The Lord set the earth on its foundations, it can never be moved." And also in Joshua 10-12 through 13, it says, where the sun is described as standing still. So when Galileo came in society, and you're right, the Christian church historically had a lot of power in politics. When he came in and he corrected the church and its cardinals and its high-ranking members, they viewed it as heresy. They viewed it as, they viewed it
No,
as
stop,
then the
stop.
It's not true.
You are completely misrepresenting history here.
no, 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 no,
Okay?
I'm getting this from
No,
the
you see,
history.com and the
you're trying to
Smithsonian
make it
Magazine and
sound. You're
Britannica.
trying to make
You
it
cannot rewrite
sound.
history just to make
Look,
yourself
hey,
look better and
listen.
your views look
This is the
better.
problem.
That is not
Because
how it
you're a law school
works.
student,
Just
you're
because you're a
arrogant. You don't know
Christian,
how to. You
you're the
told
one
me
who's
you know how to
interrupting me.
communicate
You've
with
interrupted
people.
me this
Do you know how
entire
to have a
time, and
conversation?
it is impossible to communicate with
You
someone
know
who's
what? I'm
insufferable
about to
like
kick
you.
you out of here. Do you understand? You don't know how to have a conversation. You
You've
don't know how to
interrupted
have give
me
and take.
over
You
and
know
over
why?
again,
Because you
though.
think you're so damn smart and you're
I
not
think
as
you're
smart as you
afraid of
think you
me.
are.
You're
Look, you
afraid to debate me
keep on antagonizing me, and I'm about to kick you out of here.
because you're
Okay,
scared.
I told you before I'm a moderator in here. I'm telling you that you don't know how to do give and take in a conversation, right?
Well, do you want to
Now,
talk about the topic, or do you want
the
to keep
fact of the
demeaning me?
matter is,
That's very
the
Christian of you.
geocentric. You know what? Last final warning. I'm about to kick you out of here. You are arrogant and you are prideful. You don't know how to communicate with people because if you did, you would show some deference. Do you know what deference is, law school student? Do you know what deference is? Dead silence. No, you don't.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? I'm just letting you speak because
I
you
said, do
keep
you know
like
what deference is?
difference or deference
Deference.
in math, in general usage, or in philosophy.
Okay. You know what?
Do you mean
You get
a
one more
divergence of
chance. From here
opinions?
on out, if you don't conduct yourself maturely, I don't give a rat's ass that you're a law school student.
I'm
Because a
not
lot
trying
of
to
time,
like
okay,
be.
you know
I'm not
what? You're
trying to.
gone. That's the last time you've interrupted. You're done.
You're stupid.
No, you're an arrogant college student, is what you are. I get angry not because people disagree, but because people are arrogant, nasty, rude. Okay. See, she doesn't even understand the Galilean history. She still believes, after I corrected her, that it was largely a political dispute. Because the prevailing view, even before
You
the
mean
rise
religious?
of the Holy Roman Empire, was the Aristotelian view. Okay, that the universe was the center of the universe. It was a cosmological view that was held pervasively.
You
It was not
misspoke.
merely or simply a religious dogma that Galileo was persecuted for. He was persecuting because he was challenging a pervasive, widespread paradigm that the Earth was the center of the universe. That's predominantly why he was persecuted.
Darth, you misspoke at the beginning of that. You said
What did I say?
you said she's not understanding that it was politically. She's thinking it was political when you meant to say she's thinking it's religious.
She was describing it as though it was predominantly a religious persecution, which it was not.
That's what you meant to say. Yeah, you said political, but you meant to say religious. But anyways, I've done some research into this too. So what I found is that this idea that they were upset about Galileo's scientific findings is ridiculous because what had happened, they were actually the Pope commissioned Galileo to do his scientific research, and there was no issue with him saying like the heliocentrism. Although what Darth is correct, he was challenging what the evidence supported at the time. But anyways, the issue with like the church and Galileo had to do with Galileo insulted the Pope in his book. So Galileo was known as a very caustic person. He was known as a very rude person. And he basically in his book called the Pope an idiot and printed this book. And that was the issue. The Pope was upset that he insulted him. It had nothing to do with his science, but they want to misrepresent history and they indoctrinate these kids in academia to like have these like
they want to make it a clash between science versus religion.
Yeah, that's not the case.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh man.
Whenever somebody comes in and challenges the status quo, the predominant status quo or the paradigm in any given time in history in terms of science, they're treated as a heretic. Okay?
Yet you're a misogynistic asswipe who interrupts people and thinks he can do what
how
he wants.
how am I misogynistic?
Because your dumbass kept interrupting her and wouldn't let her talk, but when she interrupted you once, you started whining. No, put a sock in it. I'm talking. Put a sock in it. You don't like when people overtalk you. I'm gonna do it here. Put a sock in it.
If you don't,
I don't give a shit what you are. You are complete. I don't do it. I don't give a shit, dude. I'm calling you out for the pussy hypocrite you are.
Do you want to remain?
You are a hypocrite.
Okay, you're gone. Okay,
yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Run away, Darth. Run away. That's all you do.
You're being removed because you're being uncooperative. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, I treat her exactly how I treat every other person there who comes on here who's arrogant. They think they're way smarter and educated than they are, and when they're rude and obnoxious, doesn't matter to me whether they're male or female. It just so happens because she was female, the guy accuses me of being misogynistic. P. Mars, do I treat males who act this way in exactly the same fashion?
Yes. Well, she was also lying. Do you know when she joined Darth, she told me that she was a philosophy major and like a neuroscience minor. And then all of a sudden
and then she says she's a law student.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was just
so another thing is when you said that he insulted the Pope, okay?
Yeah.
That's in addition to the thing that he
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. So it's not either or, it's both.
Yes.
Okay. And so insulting the Pope, which I don't accept the papacy or anything like that, but insulting the Pope in that day and age made matters all the more worse for him, challenging what was the status quo and the pervasive paradigm, the cosmological paradigm.
What I'm saying, he wasn't punished for his scientific findings. They might not have accepted them, right, because of the status quo. They didn't accept his scientific findings, but he wasn't punished because of the scientific findings. He was punished for insulting the Pope in his public book. Like publicly insulting the Pope is what was his crime. So anyways.
All right, I'll have to look up that information.
That's what I mean, I could be. I remember reading that because atheists would always bring this up.
No, I'm not going to dispute that. I think that's in addition to it.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying
she doesn't understand because she's not educated.
I was just adding.
She doesn't understand that the Ptolemaic or the Aristotelian view that the Earth was the center of the universe goes back thousands of years. Okay, and was pervasive. Okay.
The church at that time was the leading forefront of science and academia, right? They were hand in hand. The church.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand, atheist types and God haters and people who hate Christianity will always twist things. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson give a quote from Laplace, the scientist who was consulted by Napoleon about the nature of the movement of stellar bodies. And it's an apocryphal account. We don't know that this actually took place. Now, I'm not saying it didn't took place, but we don't have sufficient historical evidence to show that this actually happened. So it's considered apocryphal, right? And Napoleon says, well, where does God figure into this? And Laplace is apocryphally mentioned to say that, well, I don't have a need for that hypothesis in this surmising. But even if this apocryphal account is true, it's not accurately represent what Laplace was saying. Laplace was not being dismissive of God as creator, okay, of the world. It's just that Laplace, in this account, was just simply talking about what are the mechanics of the movement of stellar bodies, okay? Just if somebody talks about the rate of acceleration of a falling body toward Earth in a free fall and having to do with terminal velocity, and somebody says, well, how does God figure into these calculations? Even a Christian can say, well, even though I believe in God and he controls the universe, God is not inserted into the calculations having to do with terminal velocity. But Neil deGrasse Tyson quotes this
so am I gonna get a
as
fucking
though please do not interrupt. You'll be allowed to speak in a moment. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he too is a God hater and an atheist, okay, tries to twist even this apocryphal account that Laplace was a skeptic of saying, oh no, we can explain the universe and the movement of stellar bodies, and this idea of God is worthless. So even Neil deGrasse Tyson abuses history. Go ahead, sir. What would you like to say?
I don't understand why you get to make an argument from a book that I have to believe is law. Like, the argument for Christianity is the Bible, but I have to believe the Bible in order for your argument to work. So your argument is from authority and therefore has no basis in reality.
So is yours.
How?
Okay, so either in the Christian worldview, either it is the case that the mind of God.
See, I have to subscribe to your worldview, though.
Sir, listen to me. Did I finish?
You don't need to, because what you're saying is ignorant. Makes no sense to what I said.
You interrupt me one more time.
And if you interrupt me one more time, my vagina's gonna blow up, and I'm gonna turn you off because I can't take condescending fucking things.
Okay. Why is it that all of these people in varying degrees display mental problems? You see, I go from 0 to 60 angry with that woman, or even males for that matter, when they will not be cooperative in a dialogue interchange. Okay. By the way, I think I've spoken with her before. She's very arrogant, and she thinks she knows more than she does.
Yeah, she was just acting like she's super intelligent.
Yeah. Notice what I said. I didn't say that she's not intelligent. I just said she thinks she's smarter than she is.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. It's like an insecurity thing. Welcome, Sheila.
It's not important what my name is. It's my meaning that you should take heed of. Shut your filthy mouth, Darth. I don't know who you think you are, but you
should I shut my mouth?
For all of your words that you just said.
Why should I shut my mouth?
Because you're ignorant to other people that don't agree with you, and that's not cool.
I'm ignorant to other people? I'm ignorant to other people? What does that
Yes,
even
you
mean?
are. It doesn't matter how loud you talk. It doesn't change the fact that you're a pig.
Why am I a pig?
Because you're acting like a child.
No, I get angry when people are rude and obnoxious.
Okay, fuck you then.
Okay. You see, you're just proving my point.
I earned my words, and don't you dare challenge me, mister. Okay. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but all churches support pedophiles. So go
Sheila,
and screw yourself.
How many beers have you had today? Goodbye, Sheila. Unbelievable. All right, I'm going to go get something to eat. I'll be back on later. But look, I don't get angry when people in a prolonged way disagree and debate with me because it makes for great conversation. But when people keep on monologuing, they're abusive like she was, then I get angry. How many times did I warn her that she needed to be a little bit more deferential, that she needed to be a more conciliatory, right? And she refused to do it. Okay? Well, she got a tongue lashing because she richly deserved it. All right, I'll be back. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Darth. Have a good night. She was yeah, I don't know. She kind of came on to challenge me, and she kind of, she didn't really know what she was talking about. I think this person, I'm pretty sure she left. Yeah, she left. Hey, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, wait, am I echoing?
I don't think so.
Okay, I was just wondering, like, why do y'all always, like, bother us? Like, now deconstructing atheism? Like, I'm confused. What are you deconstructing about atheism?
Oh, I'm just doing, like, a conceptual analysis on atheism and showing that it can't possibly be true.
So, like, how is it, like, impossible for it to be true?
Because, so truth is that which corresponds to reality.
Okay.
But in, like, a non-God, like, position, you couldn't say anything about you wouldn't know what reality is. You'd just be, like, basically lying or making stuff up.
I wouldn't know what reality is if I don't have God.
Correct. You ever seen the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, I've seen that movie, like, I don't even know how long ago.
So he doesn't, before he takes the red pill, he doesn't know that he's in the Matrix. Like, he lives his whole life thinking that everything is real, but it turns out that everything was like a simulation, and he had no idea the whole time. Even though
if, like, there's no God, reality is like a simulation?
Basically, yeah, the Bible's sort of like the red pill.
Oh, well, God, so, like, if you're experiencing the simulation, how would we know that this simulation is quote unquote fake? How would we be able to experience it if it's fake?
Well, the idea is that in the Matrix, Neo has science and Neo has, like, philosophy. He's got great thinkers, but there's no, like, philosophical evidence or, like, scientific evidence that could tell Neo that he's in the Matrix. So the only way what I'm saying is the only way we could know what reality is, or truth to correspond to reality, is if, like, God gives us that knowledge through revelation, and God tells us what reality is.
Wait, that makes no sense though, because if we're already experiencing reality, that would imply that there already is some form of knowledge that we have acquired that's allowing us to experience this reality. Like, what? Hello? If I'm experiencing it, it clearly has to be real in some capacity, right?
No, because in the Matrix, everything seems real, but it's not real, or like a dream. when we're in a dream, we experience the world and it seems real, but it's not. We're actually that's just in our mind.
It's just in your mind.
Yeah, and so it's hard to say, like, what about the external? What about our experience is actually real, and what about our experience? Is our mind just like imposing itself on mental structures upon reality? Because we know our mind can do that in dreams. So that's a big problem for like philosophy. It's a big problem for like empiricism.
Got it. And how exactly does the existence of God help this issue at all?
Well, the idea is that humans are limited, and so we need God's help to know what the world is. Without God helping us, we couldn't talk about the world in any sort of like meaningful way. There'd be no like there'd be no content to our words. They would lack depth and meaning. Everything would be like hollow and empty.
Wouldn't we be able to use like logic to fill these gaps in the world? Like,
No, because Neo in the Matrix, he has logic, but logic doesn't help him. He needs the red pill.
Well, even then, like, you're using the Matrix, but that's a literal movie. Hello? Like,
yeah, it's about a real world problem.
Right, yeah, but it's still a movie, right? So can we talk about like the real world and stuff real quick?
Well, I was using the movie to explain the argument. It's like a simple way to understand what's when I'm saying when you deny the Bible as being true, you have a big problem because you couldn't like talk about reality and you wouldn't know what it is. It's like our science can't tell us what it is, and philosophy can't tell us what it is. So
philosophy and science just can't tell us anything about the real world and what it is.
Only God could.
But why is it that God is the answer that can tell us about reality?
Well, because God like knows everything.
Okay, but like he knows everything, really? Like this is your justification. He just knows everything.
There's more. Well, I mean, yeah, it's basically the idea is that we need to have access to someone that's in the position to know everything to like make sense of what we experience.
So like does knowledge and like logic, does that like come from God?
Yes.
So I'm confused, and so how would you come to the conclusion that like knowledge and logic come from God if you didn't have logic in the first place to come to that conclusion?
Well, it's not about using logic to come to the conclusion. So the idea is that we humans understand the world through like a narrative or a story, and the story in the Bible where like God created the universe and endowed it with order, making like logic, science, and morality possible.
Give me 1 second, hold on. I'm still listening though.
Okay. So without this like divine foundation or like the story, the atheist story is like where the universe becomes like chaos. Basically, there's no ultimate grounding for reason and morality. And so since we naturally interpret reality through narratives, because stories provide like context, meaning, and coherence to the events of our life and our experience, stories help us connect the what with the why, which is crucial to understanding the world. And the Bible presents this like unified narrative of creation, the fall, redemption, and restoration, and explains the origin of the universe, human purpose, the problem of evil, and the hope of ultimate justice and renewal. Whereas we're limited in our ability to understand the world, our ability to fully grasp reality is constrained by our perspective and experiences. So to truly make sense of the universe and our place in it, we need revelation from a higher infinite source, i.e., like God. And that's what we have in like Christianity in the Bible, the story in the Bible. So it addresses both our intellectual and existential questions and uniquely provides the foundation to make sense of logic, morality, and meaning, which is necessary for understanding the world at all. So it's like literally impossible to deny.
Got it. Okay, so what you're basically saying is that we require God in the Bible and these revelations to help understand and make sense of the world, and they provide basically a grounding, or I guess a predication for logic, rationality, whatever understanding of the world that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, now that I understand your argument, my first question is just like, how exactly do you know that like us as humans can't gain this understanding of rationality through tools like science and philosophy without the need of God?
Well, because like, I mean, there's like, we asked the greatest philosophers, the greatest scientists, like Darth has talked to Lawrence Krauss, for example, and they can't answer these questions. They can't. Science just can't tell us anything about what the world actually is. Neither can philosophy, and they just tell us about how we perceive the world. But we know this, like this is well known, that just because we perceive the world to be a way, it doesn't actually mean it actually is that way. Just like with the Matrix example, like the whole life, Keanu Reeves or Neo, his whole life he perceives there to be like physical objects, but then he finds out after the red pill that the whole time it was just like in his mind. It was a computer. It was a simulation. It wasn't real. There wasn't.
Okay, so you're saying that because of the fact that we can't use the tools of philosophy and science, right? These, I guess, answers, they just don't work for us. It has to be specifically Christianity.
Yeah, well, it has to be revelation from God, and then I would argue that like only the Christian God provides like God revealing himself like with the perfect attribute set to like make sense of experience. So then it would be like a theological debate once you've accepted that revelation is necessary. Then it's like Islam, Christianity, or Judaism.
Okay, I myself am an atheist, but like I've never had like a theological debate, so I would like to actually have one. So instead of like arguing from the position of atheism, I kind of just want to argue from the position of like, why can't it be like any other God? So it's like, what would I ask? I've never done this before.
Well, I mean, I don't really debate other religions, but I can tell you like I could just like point to things that are unique about Christianity, like I could say that like the doctrine of the Trinity is like necessary to explain this our experience. There's a problem in philosophy called the one to many, and like only the Christianity and the doctrine of the Trinity can explain that. Like a Unitarian God, a Trinitarian God is necessary because a Unitarian God couldn't make sense of our experience. It couldn't account for the one and the many. So I can make some argument like that, which is like it's kind of heavy into philosophy. But that's why like theological debates get more heavy into philosophy and they get more complicated. So I like to keep it like simple because it's like really I think simple or easy to show that like atheism is kind of like a fantasy. So I didn't kick them, by the way. They left. So yeah. Oh, your phone glitched? No worries.
Hey man, what's up?
Welcome. Just proving God exists and stuff.
Okay, so you're proving God exists, or like?
Yeah. I prove
Okay.
God. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd have like an argument against it, right?
No way.
Well, definitely ways. No, I would say God is good. Objective morality doesn't exist, so therefore God doesn't exist.
But you couldn't deny objective morality. That's impossible.
Okay, let's start there then. I definitely am a moral subjectivist.
So to even make an argument, there would have to be like like you're saying to make an argument, it implies that you ought to believe the argument that you're making, right? It wouldn't make sense.
We could have a discussion on the idea of objective morality.
But it wouldn't make sense to argue if you don't think anyone ought to believe your argument. That'd be like a performative contradiction. Because the whole point of the argument is that someone ought believe the argument, the conclusion of the argument.
No, my argument is logically consistent, whether you validate it or not. We can speak on the idea of objective morality.
Are you listening to me? So
I'm listening.
Would it make sense for me to argue something, but I don't think you ought to believe the conclusion of my argument? Would that make sense?
No, you ought to believe it if you're logically consistent, but the validity of my argument is dependent on your opinion on it.
Okay, but then why ought I be logically consistent? That's another objective moral claim.
Well, you are a Christian, so that does make sense that you're not logically consistent, right?
But I'm just pointing out that how your argument doesn't work, because if there has to be an objective morality.
We're speaking about morality, not truth, right? So I didn't even say I don't, but unless it's irrelevant to the conversation. But we're speaking on the idea of objective morality, not objective truth.
It's not irrelevant because truth and value are linked, because truth is a type of value. So you can't separate truth and value. So if you say that there's no objective morality, then there's no objective truth. And if there's no objective truth, then there's no point to argue. So you just owned yourself.
There are different systems of morality, as well as there's different theories on truth. So you can still believe in an objective truth while not believing in an objective morality.
That's not true.
That is true. I don't know how informed you are on these topics, but you are starting a live, so I would hope you would have some, sort of background into philosophy.
To say something's true is going to require an epistemic virtue. So why ought I, subscribe to your epistemic virtues? So that's an ought.
No. Yes. So when we're talking about is ought claims, that would be something that would fall within the category of morality. That has nothing to do with your epistemological stance on truth.
Truth, epistemology, and ethics are reciprocal. You can't have one without the other.
Oh my God! Right? Okay, so your argument here is that because I do not believe in objective morality, I also don't believe in objective truth. That's your argument. Yeah. You said no?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know that there's different theories on the epistemological stance that you could come to on the idea of truth, such as how things match with reality? Of course it's irrelevant because you don't understand it, right?
You're not getting this.
Well, of course I don't get it.
Something's true requires epistemic virtues. Epistemic virtues are ethical claims. So if you don't believe in ethical claims, then there's no truth.
Okay, so you're saying no, that's untrue. I could say just because something is true doesn't mean you ought to believe it, right?
No, it does mean to say something's true also would imply that someone ought to believe what you're saying. You can't say something's true without an ought.
You're literally a Christian. The Bible isn't true, but you still believe it. So there's still a subjective matter to the fact. Huh?
The Bible's necessarily true because look at you can't even make an argument because you reject the Bible. It makes you a fool.
No. So you are confused, right? Because the idea of logic, right? Like Aristotle and his friends, when they were creating like um, all of the all of the necessary truths that would be logically consistent, when they were creating those, all he was describing was just a form of reason that you're capable of using, but you don't have to use that form of reason, right? You could still
They were doing metaphysics, and metaphysics is like your ontology, which deals with what is, epistemology, what you know, and ethics, which what we ought do, or what's the good. And all those things are reciprocal. You can't have one without the other. It's impossible.
No,
Without the other, it's impossible.
no, but hold on, because you don't. It's not an ought that you have to. You don't ought to have to believe in the truth.
Yes, there is. You just
No,
don't know this. Yeah, you're just a low information person. You just don't know this. But
there's no ought to believe in the truth, because how can you even verify?
Truth is a value. Truth incorporates value into truth. Newsflash. To say that there's no value or values are subjective makes truth subjective. And if truth is subjective, then you can't argue. So you just own yourself.
No. You're a little confused, right? Because
I'm not,
because
thanks for coming, man. I'm not interested in learning.
Just because something is the truth doesn't mean
you are. Dude, you don't know. I'm just gonna move on.
Are you familiar with the evolutional theory of truth, or?
Okay, it doesn't matter. Thank you for coming.
Of course you're not. Why would you start a live if you don't know what you're speaking about? Turn this.
Exactly. I can't. You got to request up, Dave. What the hell? You're not even requesting. Welcome. Pack of Wolves. Is that your name?
Oh, my volume has just gone down immensely. What the hell?
I can hear you.
Oh, but yeah, I requested a long time ago because I saw Darth up here and I was just going to talk shit to Darth real quick, but he's gone, so I'm just going to leave.
Exactly. This is what they do. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So what you got?
Well, obviously I'm an atheist, so so you don't believe, essentially from what I've gathered listening to your lives before and Darth's lives and everything, the senses aren't able to be trusted, essentially, to basically validate reality, right?
We're saying it makes sense to trust our senses if God designed them, but if God didn't design our senses, then it wouldn't make sense to trust that they'd be reliable. That's what we're saying.
How do you know God designed your senses then?
Because I just told you that if you deny it, then your senses wouldn't be reliable, and if your senses aren't reliable, then you can't do science.
So you can trust your senses because God said so, and you know God said so because God said so?
No,
that's what you just said. I broke it down. You can try to use buzzwords to, gloss it over.
So humans, scientific studies.
Go ahead, I'll give you a second.
Okay. Here, scientific studies tell us that humans best understand the world through a narrative or story. And I'm saying that the story in the Bible is the
That's a narrative or story. That's through allegories. That's through being told stories so you can understand the position the story's put in or the framing. That's not your senses. That has nothing to do with your senses.
Sure. Humans understand our experience through a story, and I'm arguing that the story in the Bible is the necessary story to understand.
So your senses work because you were told a story?
Well, because
Mm-hmm.
if atheism were true, like the story of atheism, right?
There's no story of atheism, but go on.
There is an atheist story. It's the story.
No, we have a lack of a story. That's what atheism is. But please go on.
Well, you certainly lack a lot, but you don't lack a story because there's either a creator-creature distinction or not, right? That would encompass all possibilities.
Because of your story.
So, like, anyone who says doesn't affirm that there's a creator-creature distinction, that would be like an atheist story. And, like, typically they're going to say something.
No, that's not believing in something. That's not a story. That's disbelief in something.
Well, this is going over your head. Then maybe you're too low information for this conversation.
Buddy, you're losing and you're mad. Just hold on a second. Let's play this game a little longer.
You process information a little more slowly than others.
Let's play this game a little longer because I sat with your buddy Darth and put him to the ropes. So give it a second. Maybe you can win this time. Maybe you can win where he lost.
It's not about winning. It's just you're too low.
No, it is for you guys. So come on, let's do this. You want to do this. You came on the live. You wanted to go against somebody like this. I'm here to do it.
Someone like this. I want to talk to a mature, intelligent person, not a country bumpkin.
You got what you asked for then, bud.
No, because look, man, it's real simple. The story in the Bible is necessary to understand experience.
Stop bringing up the story. We already disproved that's what makes your senses work.
Thank you for coming. I wish you well.
You're hilarious, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't keep up. That's the problem.
You think you're going to be laughing when you're cast into a certain lake in the afterlife?
The only lake I'm going to is the one next weekend that I'm going on vacation on.
Okay. Well, I suggest you stock up on aloe vera. Thank you,
buddy. No, wait, give it a second. So go.
What's up, Darth?
Yeah, why is it that so many of these unbelievers, skeptics, they just talk like sarcastic, obnoxious teenagers?
I don't know.
Aren't there any maturely behaving and intelligent-minded unbelievers to talk to?
I was like trying to dumb it down, like spoon feed it to him, like mash it into the sauce and feed it to him.
What you need to do though is you need to make it clear to them that you're not just talking about a conceptual range that's needed, but that you're talking about there needs to be the ontological background information where God is the single causal first principle who secures all of the unity in the world.
But obviously anything I say that guy was like too low information.
I know, yeah.
So, this guy was you don't want to talk to that guy, I'm sure. And all we have is autism. I mean, crap. I have to.